water.
I'll make it.
Sorry.
Not a problem.
My belly's getting in my way.
It's usually my ass. Come up with some more stuff on it. You bet.
Sell it to you. You guys got any more of these?
Randy, you have any more of the budget?
No, you want to peruse it?
Yes, you can peruse it.
So. Here, oh, you got an agenda. You didn't put me on it.
Okay, it is 6:30. We will call the 2020 budget public hearing meeting to order. I guess to start out, we more than likely are not going to have a final budget tonight. We want to hear everybody's comments and everything, you know, and then we'll probably have to have another get together to decide, you know, where we're going to go from here. But you know, we can hear everybody's comments on this. So I'm assuming everybody knows that we're looking at a substantial increase in the mills, and basically most of that is due to you know, falling short on the special assessments that have been paid into the city compared to what's paid in and what's paid out. We're looking at what, about $220,000 short for 2020. We are working on that right now. We have a firm working on that, going through all the past, you know, minutes and bonds and everything else, trying to figure out where that problem is. That being said, welcome any comments or questions from the audience. You just want to raise your hand, we'll call on you, or Tom?
I was here last time and we talked about that, and it's time for you guys to resolve that. It just can't keep dragging on and on and on, and you say, we're looking at past minutes, we're following up on it. Let's get to the bottom of it, and it's time that you can't spend and have everything that you want. It's time that you get down to what the town absolutely needs, period. Can we really afford to hire another city assistant auditor? I think most taxpayers would agree, we are taxed to the limit. We can't afford this anymore. This missing unaccounted for $220,000 And only in government would it just, well, we're trying to find a private business, no, that would never, ever work. It's either, I don't know what to call it, but it's time to get this problem figured out.
And we are working on it. Thank you.
Who's the firm that's hired to look into it?
It's A2S Nexus. It's a separate entity from our engineering firm. Eric, don't they work in basically
They work
accounting?
in financials, yep. So they'll do financial assistance and auditing, things like that.
Are you the guy, or are you engineer? No.
He would
He would show up. I do know the guy that's working on it, though. He's working on
Oh, okay. And he's from AES2 or Nexus?
it. A2S Network. So
A2S
separate
Network.
company.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we have any kind of an update on them, Rainey, or?
So you're
So-
taking Jasper's spot?
Okay,
No,
that's
nothing.
another discussion, but we're,
Yeah, so I got an email from him, he can see our concern, he's gone through, he can see that, why we hire them, he's gone through just the 1 year, and then tell me, Eric, if he's giving you a different update. He's still hoping for November, but he does not know at this point, just because there's such a volume of information that they're just trying to get through it all.
mhm.
And it's special assessments from 2009 back to all of 2009 that they're
Correct,
looking at.
yeah.
Yeah.
So is that shortfall due to a change in interest rate, or?
They're trying to determine if it is because it was not assessed correctly, or, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. They're trying to determine if it was not assessed correctly.
Isn't this 210 or 220 due to the fact of if missing funds that was there no longer there?
I don't believe so. You know, are you insinuating there might be theft? I don't.
Embezzlement?
I don't believe that is the case.
Was that visited at all?
It will be, you know, at this point, we don't suspect that, but if it does, it should show up in there that way. No.
Or, I mean, it's okay, the missing money or the missing funds. I mean, you know, at coffee shops, I mean, a lot of people are surmising that, you know, it comes to some of the special assessments, you know, some property given back to the city that, you know, wasn't recorded properly. I mean, that is one of the things that's being looked at. I take it in the, you know, by, you know, Nexus or whoever is doing it. Is that possible that could have happened?
So if you're saying somebody turned back their property because of lack of payment, you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
Um,
You know, and they owed $10,000 or $20,000 on it, and, you know, oh, we're not gonna pay it, we'll just let the city have it.
that
Yeah.
could be part of it, most of it. I mean, not to that extent of $200-some thousand. I mean,
Okay.
there's multiple, that's why I said it's just a matter of if it was assessed correctly, because there are multiple things that could go into that if being not assessed correctly. That
Oh, obviously, we're all concerned about this $220,000 because now, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to be taxed to make that up so we can make the budget. But the tax is all coming in 1 year, am I correct? This is a 1-year tax increase to basically make up that loss?
So you had that loss last year, this year, you're having it again now this year. We've noticed that when we did the budget last year, that you were in a deficit. You're in a deficit again now this year. So that's why we hired Nexus, because you cannot continue this process. You cannot continue to be short for your specials. Or you're gonna get that thing, you know, you'll get taxed again next year. Or, you know, progressively, we can't afford to do that. We're trying to figure out what the problem is. was it not assessed correctly, or?
All right.
Because the idea is to get this figured out, so it's a one-time deal, you know? And hopefully, if we get it figured out and it's passed, you know, the final budget time, we would make some kind of amends for the next year to lower our taxes way down to make up for this, you know, or the extra for this year. That would be our goal. Yes?
How many years of budgeted deficit were there? Summary goes back to 2018 and then 2019 year-to-date and 2020. Prior years were there deficits?
Yes, not as significant.
They were
But it's been accumulating.
accumulating,
It was spot year and the debt obligations are there. There aren't, what are the terms associated with them, either make them or default in 2020?
Well, I don't think you can default.
You can't default, you're gonna have to come up with funds somehow.
Yeah.
Who's not getting paid?
They've been getting paid.
Okay, just not what they wanted to get paid.
Well, no, they're
They've been-
getting paid.
They've been getting paid.
It's just coming out of the general
It's
fund.
coming out of the
which is-
general fund is what's been covering it.
So that was covering us up until this point.
The city isn't borrowing any money to pay them
No,
yet.
no. You've just been depleting your general cash reserve.
Did you have a question?
I was just gonna ask if this was addressed, you know, if it's been negative, you know, why now? And then if this is just a one-time raise of, I mean, for example, for us, 33% increase, that's a lot. When you consider, I mean, I'm sure everyone's in the exact same boat. If you're on a fixed income, that doesn't happen. I think it might be slightly easier to follow if it was a one-time deal, and then once we find money, assuming you do, because there's got to be consequences for losing this money, right? You can't just say, oh, we'll have the taxpayers, we got the $200,000 loss. That's not right. Because
Right.
somebody either did something incorrectly, and we can't pay for mistakes, because otherwise it's just going to keep happening, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'll have, there's being a recourse for not doing the exact same thing, or potential mismanagement, or whatever the case may be. So I think it would be easier to swallow if it's a one-time deal, so we don't default, so we can actually pay our bills and keep things going. But then, like you said, make amends the next year, where you would basically say, okay, now we're taking your taxes down by 63%, because we've made up that percent, and we're giving you, we're not keeping at this 33% increase.
Mhm.
We're going back to what we were in the
Right.
2019 tax year, plus we're giving you a decrease in the 2021 year, I think it would be, to
Yeah.
make up for us essentially replenishing the general fund.
So
Is
there-
that intent?
That would be my intent, you know, if everything works out the way we hope it does, you know, and we find this problem and we figure out, you know, what it is, you know, what is it just, did something put in the wrong fund maybe somewhere, or, you know, it's hard to say at this point what it could be, but that would be the intent, is hopefully find us and then lower them next year to make up for it.
Worst case scenario, let's say they don't find it, right? Let's say it takes forever, it drags on. This increase covers this $210,000 loss, or missing.
Mhm.
That would, our taxes would then decrease, or go back to normal levels next year for the 2021.
I can't guarantee anything, you know, but we'll find the problem before our next budget time, I'm sure. If that answers your question, go ahead.
If it's an assessment issue, a special assessment, and you find it to where you can get the budget to balance, more than likely that would mean that the correction to the assessment would more than likely be an increase for specials to cover it. Is that right, or no?
It's a possibility, I would say. They might have to be reassessed, or however they do that. But it's not just one fund. There's a whole bunch of different funds that are showing up short. You know, it's different projects from different years. If it was one fund, it would probably be easy to find, but it's not. It's a bunch of. And, you know, people that used to work here aren't here anymore, so we can't ask them any questions either, so, you know, if they knew any answers, so.
turning it over to the Attorney General, have him bring in BCI, and they'll figure it out.
Well,
We, as
you're
citizens-
assuming it's a criminal case then.
Well, let's find out if it is or isn't. Let's get going on this thing.
But we are going on it though, you know. It takes time, they have tons of information to go through.
Well, this was all,
I think, didn't we ask the
This-
Attorney General's office if they had, or we asked the State Auditor's office if they would be available to go through this, and they said they don't do that.
okay, but it's specifically in the special assessments, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, then how can it be, this fund is maybe missing something, this fund is missing something? I mean, are those different areas in the general budget, or is it all in how these special assessments are allotted to?
The special assessments aren't in the general fund, correct?
Correct.
They're in their own
So if you look
fund.
at page 12 of 19, maybe this will help explain what,
Okay, but you said that part of this audit, you're looking at all of the different budgets and areas in the city budget for this misplaced money or something?
Well, we're looking for mistakes that possibly were made, you know, was the interest not correct, you know, assessed correctly, I mean, I'm sure there's just was the proper amount assessed, you know, did somebody, you know, transpose a number, who knows, you know, I mean, it could be a lot of things.
And maybe, think of it this way, maybe it's not the fund, think of it the project, the street project. There's one project here, one project there. Think of it that way. The project is not being fully funded. So maybe the interest wasn't paid, or the principal wasn't paid down, so now we're trying to make up for it in interest, which I have no idea. But think of it that way,
Okay.
instead of,
so Tom, if you look at page 12 of that report, you'll see that there are sections. So like, line number 2 there says root addition, 072.81. That is your special number. So that group of revenue, and then you'll see underneath of it the expenditures. And then off to the right, under the 2020 budget column, you'll see a negative $985.13. That special does not have enough revenue to come in to cover the expenditures, and that's why you're short in that one special. So those, each of those on those next few pages are all your debt services, all your specials. And if you look at the bottom of page 15, you'll see the $220,000 negative. They're accumulation of all of those specials that are being that, you know, bringing that total up to $220,000.
Did that answer your question? Okay. Anybody else? Come on.
I don't know if this is in the same topic or not, but this project on Main Avenue, we're at what,
You
$230,000?
talking about right down here?
Yeah, do we have money to cover that, or is that going to affect us as well, in addition to this?
1 cent sales tax is covering that project.
Or even for future years and stuff, any roads that you have to do you guys apply for federal grants for any funding or anything like that? Because it's available out there, there's state, there's federal. Do you have an underwriter, a grant writer, anything to do that, that's knowledgeable in it?
Yeah, usually the way it works out is, you know, our average income in this area is too high. We don't qualify for pretty much nothing. Right.
But it's been checked into?
I believe it has, right? Yeah.
We look into funding all the time for projects for the city. There's a lot, you're right, there are.
There's a lot out there, there is, it's,
Yeah.
The city of Center recently did a, just about $2 million water sewer street thing. They got I think a $1.1 million grant from the Corps of Engineers. I would say that the city of Center, average income, pretty comparable to Washburn, same thing, one little town, big power plant.
Mhm.
one town, big power plant. So I don't know if I can quite buy this. The average income is too high. If Center can do it, why can't we?
I'm not sure which, grant that you're talking about specifically.
Why don't, check with the city auditor of Center and see how they funded their $2 million project, because I know it was over $1 million grant.
Do you know what kind of project it was for?
It was water, sewer, street.
Water, sewer, and street?
Yeah, same thing we did,
It was, you said it was the Corps of Engineers?
yeah.
It wasn't USDA?
I would recommend you call the city auditor, he'll give you the exact information you're looking for, but I think if they can do it, we should be able to also.
Get closer to the water.
Well, you know, we're looking at it, you know, possibly an intake, a new intake, you know, and we're looking at State Water Commission grant of $2.3 million, a FEMA grant of $1.1 million, you know, that we don't have to pay that. So, I mean, there are some grants that we qualify for, you know, but to get a street assistance.
But how do you know if you don't?
Well,
Do more
like I said,
research on it.
our engineering firm checks into these things when we plan a project, so.
Who does the grant writing? To obtain those grants, is it you guys?
We assist with them, we can help with them.
Who has the grant projects then, as far as pursuing grants and writing the grants?
Are you talking about for the city and
Right.
in general?
Yeah.
Well, we most certainly, can assist in grant writing, but, as far as the city, I mean, Rainey's on staff, but there isn't very many people to help do that, and I know she's right now gonna be just running her own shop here, so it makes it pretty tough, because sometimes writing those grants it's pretty time intensive, and I know Rainey's really busy too, so.
It probably would be nice to, and obviously engineering companies do proposals all the time, you know, maybe just knowing a proposal, I mean, obviously it's gonna cost $15,000 a year, or, you know, $20,000 a year to have someone, you know, willing to grant, it may not be worth it, but even just having that information to make sure that, you know, we are doing our due diligence with that, to ask for grant writing assistance, or based on certain projects, say, hey, do we qualify for grants?
Right.
And move forward with that.
And there are some grant writers, they either go by percentage of the grant, or they go by that fee to write the grant. And maybe that would be worthy to check into somebody that can really go after grants. I know there's some really good people out there.
I would say too that, Wanda had looked into those quite a bit, the different grants, and, I've worked with them a little bit on some of the different grants that are out there. But they're good to help out that too.
Anybody else?
Does that pertain to that 426 big project fund, or is that separate fund you're considering moving forward?
The special revenue pages, yeah.
Yeah. That had $584,000 realized expense in 2019, is that, am I reading that right or not?
Okay, where's this at, where you at?
Page 9 of that. This is under the general revenue.
So the column that you're looking at with the 595,146,
So that's the total intake
that's
project.
that's the two revenue lines that we had revenues come in through June 30th, as of when this was created.
Okay. Mark, this is the project base.
So that came in from the State Water Commission.
Okay.
Sit down, see us.
Does.
Yeah.
Back to the $210,000 in between once the firm is done looking through and finding what happened, and assuming corrective actions will be taking place to make sure that whatever happened doesn't happen again.
Oh, absolutely.
I assume,
Absolutely.
will it be made public on
I'm sure it will, yeah, I mean, everything we do here is public information, when we have our minutes, we have, newspaper and, yeah, we'll have to make sure it's, what's going on. Yes.
That's one other kind, it's a tough spot and not envious, and everybody's probably going along pretty happy up until there's a significant change that draws a lot of attention, but
Yeah.
I guess what other kind of solutions have been suggested, or maybe a deferment, if it's not all paid in 1 year, are there options to spread that over 2 or 3, especially if you're not 100% sure what the cause is and if there's any recourse for collection of funds. So borrowing money, this is basically a solution that was probably 100% just adjusting the levy rate to cover the shortfall. I mean, that's proposed in this budget, right?
Right.
So, I don't know, I don't have one.
Yeah, that's proposed at this time, and, it sounds like we're not gonna have our answers before our final budget is due, which is really unfortunate. But as far as borrowing money to cover, I don't know,
And I don't know, I mean, I think the potential impacts, yeah, and part of the attraction to Washburn when I came to town were lower tax rates.
Right.
And a single year, I mean, and you're coming on the heels, there's some other things happening, other districts. Everybody's levying more than an inflationary amount of
Yeah.
tax increase.
Yeah,
Cumulatively, it's significant, and I think
It
we
is.
have 33%, and about 50%.
yeah,
And it's gonna make it tough to draw folks in, and those are the people who are still here and shopping, and
Right.
sales tax revenues. Probably, I'm sure you're
yeah. But
well
believe me,
tuned into that, so I'm
believe
just
me.
wonder what we can do to soften it. if we need to.
you.
Yeah.
But, believe me.
It's been 12 years, I'll give money doubling, but
Oh, okay.
we're beating that again, so.
I think we are more upset about this than most people, because we're the ones that have to sit here and do this, I mean, I know everybody's upset about it, but, and I wish, we didn't have to, but.
And, for equity, I guess, if it were a special assessment miss, and we levy it to residents at large on a levy rate, somebody could be paying part of my share more so than they were maybe intended to with the original special assessment, so. I mean, I don't know, but if you're gonna go out and you're looking for a svelte solution to get that money all at once, I understand obviously the way to do it.
Yeah, because otherwise, if it's one certain project that was the problem, then it's
And
one
it's
area
my
of town.
street project or
Exactly,
something
or
like
if it's
that.
our street project and someone else's.
But you can see by this, it's scattered,
Yeah.
to a bunch of projects, so, yeah.
So, okay,
Yeah.
so is this, so if this is all a special assessment issue, would not the deficit also include, taxes are going up, or, specials, this is a special assessment deal that's going up. How is everybody, how do you get a 33 and a 43 and a 36%? How does that?
I don't know where the percentages are, how you're figuring percentages, I have no idea.
By how much the proposed increase is.
You know, I
Figure out
mean-
what the percentages of what it is you
Right.
paid the previous year.
Really, I'm asking, is the special assessment committee at all, to be involved in, this is a special assessment deal? Special assessment short fund, shortage?
Right, and they may be called in later. The Special Assessment Committee, their job is to decide, what's the fair way of assessing specials on the property of the town,
Right.
and they come up with that, and then, as far as I know, their job is pretty much done at that point.
But just a question,
Yeah.
because if this was an accumulation of that,
Right,
I don't know, just a thought.
yeah, yeah.
The inconsistency and what we're probably, everybody probably got this in the mail, and that's what draws
Right.
a lot of attention, but we've got, the levy, and I think your guys' back page covers that, it's basically 100%, ish increase in levy for city district, so that's across the board, what fraction of
Right.
property value it is for somebody,
Mhm.
the county, the school, the park board,
Mhm.
SCS.
So now, for example, it looks like there's been kind of obviously deficits for the past years, and this has been an accumulation,
Mhm.
was there ever any discussion of maybe doing, say, hey, we need, instead of levying 200,000, let's levy 100,000, since we obviously aren't gonna get an answer this year, let's still make a little bit of headway, but then wait until, so then that way, for people who are, that's a lot of money to increase for 1 year, for someone to have to come up with that could be devastating for some people. I mean,
Right.
was there ever any discussion of saying, okay, we don't, because there could be a situation where, because it's not gonna help anybody because you're on a fixed income of 1 year, right? Having make it right later in 1 or 2 years isn't gonna help with people now. So was there ever a discussion of maybe putting this over a course of 3 years, or even just doing a partial, just to keep us afloat, but still wait for our actual results?
We have talked about, how much should we, assess. The thing is, a preliminary budget, you put a number in, you can go down, but you can't go up. So, and we have talked about that, let's just put it in the preliminary, and then, we'll do some more work on this, go through it, listen to the people, and then we can always lower it.
Yeah.
And I would like to see it lower,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because I think, especially since you're not going to have an answer before your final budgets are probably due, I think that they would be more fair to the citizens to, have a certain percentage of it, just then, because obviously we know that things need to be kept afloat, right? But it's just one of those things of, especially when you don't know. That's
Right.
kind of like having someone overpay for something when you don't actually know. It's not the right way to go about it. I think it sends the wrong message, especially when you don't know what caused it,
Yeah.
or
Right.
where it is, or if it's what happened.
Yeah, and I really like that, that idea of yours. I mean, and that's something I've considered too.
I think that
I think
would
we
be a
all
lot
have,
easier to swallow,
Yeah,
a smaller amount versus the entire amount, because for people who simply can't afford it, that could be the difference between,
Having a home and not.
having a home and not.
Exactly.
So I think to be fair and to have a little bit of a heart, I think it needs to
right.
not be the full.
Our goal is not to tax people to death, so.
Exactly, so I think that's just a huge amount to swallow in 1 year.
I agree with that. I guess that's what I was kind of asking, what deferral options exist? So even if we said we wanted to spread it, if you're operating on a $750,000 budget, you're short 200, if there's another budget deficit of 150, and pretty soon you've got, we're not staying solvent, and trying to spread it out doesn't work, but what mechanisms would allow you to do that? The borrowing of money, I don't know if the city is.
Well,
You're paying more in the long run.
we do carry a balance in the general fund, but you have to. You can't run that dry. So, I mean, there's always options,
Is it that, reduce spending in the future? Your challenges, it's easier to spend and improve, but it's difficult to look at where would you be willing to cut? So
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be looking at all that.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. And really, I think, if it wasn't for this, I think Washburn taxes were fairly low compared to other towns. Property taxes, not special, but property taxes.
Well, we needed to get this out so you guys could see that there's a problem. And so we can try to explain and listen to you. That's what we're here for.
Anybody else?
It isn't just taxes in town. Our land taxes are going up drastically as well. School, having new renovations up there, and so we're getting a double whammy.
Yeah, the school and the park board both are raising theirs.
Okay, I'm up here, up there too. Thank you.
Thank you, Milo.
Our taxes in our house, we've been here 22 years, and it's tripled on our house.
You talking like with specials?
I'm just talking of tenants. No, not special.
You're talking just the property tax?
Yeah,
Okay.
triple. Special, so I don't even want to begin to that.
Yeah, I know. It's very expensive.
That's crazy.
No. I agree. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You guys hear what we're saying.
absolutely.
It's the end of this tax, and spend. It's just, you guys gotta get control of things. You just, like I said, spend money on what you absolutely need, not on what you want.
You know, the last few years, since I've been on the commission, we, you know, except for this year, we've tried to keep the taxes the same without raising them, and I think we did a really, really good job on that for the last 3 years at least. You know, so I think we're trying. You know, we don't just simply say, oh yeah, we need another 10 mils this year, we need 10 mils this year. You know, we try to keep it very, very close to the same.
Well, I don't know your intentions, you know, your intentions are good, but dealing with reality of the bottom line is we're talking real money, you know, so.
The company that's looking into where the problem, if there was embezzlement, would they come back and lay it out to you? And would you go to the Attorney General then, or are they gonna do that, or?
I'm assuming that would be up to us, and we would definitely follow through with that, absolutely.
Okay. And they're gonna call it what, a spade, for lack of a better word?
I would hope so. Yes, Mike?
Are there ongoing discussions about additional special assessment districts coming up in 2020, 2021, or in the near years?
Yeah, you know, what we're looking at is, you know, up by the Senate Water Tower area and also the area across the highway, you know, their streets are really, really bad.
They are.
The nice thing about those areas is there shouldn't have to be a lot of water and sewer work, you know, because it's all PVC up there. But our goal is, if we decide to do those projects, or if we ask the citizens if they want to do those projects, we want to have, we're working on getting a program together so we can estimate what people's taxes would be, their specials would be before we go ahead with the project, so they would have a chance to know.
And that's something we've never had in the past. We've watched where Bismarck, Minot, and other cities have proposed special assessments before the project is even let. They tell the property owner, this is what your special assessments are gonna be.
Yeah.
You guys have never done that to us. It's always after
Well,
the fact. And
that's what I've been going for, is to get this program
Okay.
in place, so we can do that.
Okay, consulting engineers, they make their money by telling you, you need this, you need that, you need this. The more expensive the project, the more money they make, right? Simple as that.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
gotta
it's
come
a
a time,
percentage, it's
you
a
gotta tell
percentage.
these engineers, we can't afford it. Sorry.
Or a lot of times you have to ask the hard questions. Like, I deal with engineering firms all the time. A lot of times you get their opinion, right? And then you have to have someone who's competent enough to look through it to see what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, or challenge them and say, no, we can't afford this, or we can't do it this way. We need you to look at more creative solutions. And if they can't do that, if you can't find those creative solutions, if you can't fit it within the budget, then it's a no-go. That's what any responsible entity does. I'm not saying that you guys don't do that, but
Right.
I'm just saying that that's what needs to be done, because there's a lot of times where, you know, firms and even myself, you have a project, you go through with something, you say, okay, if this is exactly what you want, this is what it's gonna take,
Mhm.
to where maybe you don't need
Okay.
all these other things.
Anybody else? I hope we answered everybody's questions, not the way you like it, but we will be working on, you know, trying to get this down even lower. I really do like the idea of, instead of doing 220,000, maybe do 100,000, you know, and we'll look at our general fund and see where we're at. I guess, you know, there's also a thing where we can, take some of our, like, I think it's 20% of our needed expenditures, if we have enough out of our special, or out of our enterprise funds. But that's, you know, that's not a lot of money, it's probably like $25,000, but it'll help, you know. So, I mean, we're looking at stuff like that also, so. And like I said, we won't have the final budget tonight. We should set up a meeting to when we are going to finalize the budget. So that anybody that wants to can be there for that. But that would be a special meeting because we don't have another meeting before it has to be turned in, correct? It has to be turned in by
October 10th.
October 10th, and our meeting is on the 14th.
How do you plan to notify for that special meeting? Would it be another letter or just posting in the paper?
Well,
or?
I'm hoping to set something up right now,
Oh,
so that everybody would know. Anybody know when that would work? For everybody in the commission? Basically, any time would work for me. Could be in the end of September, it could be, you know, if we do it at the end of September, that would give us a couple weeks yet. Maybe 1, 2, 3 weeks yet. Or Colin? Good. I think that's probably the worst one.
Anytime after the 18th of September will be fine, up till the 2nd of October.
23rd and 24th of September is out. And the 29th through October 4th is out.
29th to October 4th, okay. So do we want it on October 7th or else 27th of September maybe? She wants 27th.
Late yet. 7th Friday.
Mhm.
I'm open that day.
Which day?
I'm open that day.
No, I can't make it. How about October 7th? A week before our meeting.
I won't be able to be here.
I'm sorry?
I got nights.
Oh. Take off.
You said September 30th? Wouldn't work for anybody?
Colin can't make it.
30th, I won't be here.
You won't be there?
next Monday.
Well, I give at least 2 weeks if we could. How about the 23rd of September?
The what? 23rd?
Oh, can't do that either.
I'll be gone.
Oh,
Grand Forks.
25th or 26th.
26th September.
Should be here.
Work for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay,
6:30.
6:30. So I'll make a motion that we have the final budget, meeting on the 26th of September at 6:30 p.m.
I'll second.
Colin, any discussion? Everybody good? Colin?
Yes.
Good?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
No? Yes. Okay, at this time, does anybody want to go through any of these items? Have any thoughts on them? Or do you want to wait till it's done? I think if somebody has some ideas on where we might be able to change, we should have, you know, some ideas here. Well, I think you had a couple, right?
I guess I was questioning the GIS update, training and receiver, about 12,000 total.
Okay, let's start with that. You have another.
We might be able to cut off of line 137.
Repair and maintenance of, is that? Is that under the general fund? Is that under, that is under general? That's not under,
Highways and streets.
okay, that's not under the highway tax distribution. Okay, so we can look at that one. Okay, take away from that. Highway maintenance or whatever. Let's have a look at that. Okay.
Maybe take a little bit from line 158.
You guys follow on these? Thank you, everybody. Maybe line 148. So far we've got 117, 137, and 148. You want to look at?
109 I want to look at, get that down a ways. 105, since that's just a wish list for the new roof here, we can get rid of some of that.
Okay.
And then you go to page 8 of 19,
Set aside,
we need us for another part of the GIS,
it has come from the
4,000.
general fund, and then we move it to the fund.
What line?
Right.
20.
Hold it, and then when you spend,
Okay.
then it has to come out of that.
Then 107, the cameras and stuff, I think we can go down a ways on that for the Memorial Hall and the water treatment plant.
Where's that at?
107. We got it.
107 on,
Page 5.
yeah, no, page, we got them.
And some of this stuff, like with cameras, they just need to get scrapped for the year.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, if that's
You know,
what we
I mean,
want to look
it's-
at,
It's
yeah.
not really a high priority, and we're looking at
Mm-hmm,
Right.
yeah.
this. And then also I looked at line 148, we're trying to get some money in the machinery equipment fund.
Yeah, we already mentioned that.
Yeah.
Leave
that
one.
one.
Okay, you're
And
taking that
then-
out?
See, if you weren't listening to it.
Oh, I talked quiet, it was me, it's my fault.
And then,
You're taking that out?
Yeah.
Not completely, maybe.
These
but
are
it's
things
something
we
that
want to look
wanna-
at, and
Okay.
everybody look through and see what they,
Okay.
you know, think of it, so.
right. There was one for office chairs and stuff like that too. On there. Forget which number that was. Furniture, 116 on the general fund.
69?
116. Office furniture and equipment. We need to look at that.
Okay.
And then the last one that I was gonna mention is on page 17 of 19.
Page 17 and 19?
Yep. Page, line 37, that's the last part of the, that GIS update thing.
17.
Under equipment?
Page.
This is equipment?
It's
That's
at
the GIS one?
4,050, yeah.
Okay.
Well, she's pointing out we
Yeah.
divided that GIS between general fund and street and water.
Those are the only ones that I
Very
had.
good. Okay, anybody have anything else on that review?
The fire truck one, there was one in there too. For their savings,
Virginia.
Which line?
Remember we targeted
149 on general fund.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause they're talking savings for right now.
okay, work that up.
If we can work in there.
Page 5 of 19, 149.
How much they got in there?
All they have is how
72.
much going in to it is 7250, I think,
7250.
would be what they would put in
That's on the
for this
general
year. So I don't know what they have in there.
601, that's not it, that's not the issue.
So, it wouldn't hurt to ask them, what their plans are
Right.
before we cut it all the way.
I know.
Well, that's why I think we need a little bit of time to review this rather than just cook it.
Right.
today. So,
Right.
That was one question that you got come up, because this is,
I don't.
Anything else?
Give me some time to go through it.
All right, so anyway, if nobody has anything else, we will, close the budget, the 2020 budget public hearing. Okay.
Get a copy of that tonight, before we... Sure.
Okay, so we will call the regular Monday, September 9, 2019 City Commission meeting to order. First is approve the minutes from August 19th.
Motion to approve.
Your motion to approve? You have a
Second.
Okay, discussion on that? Colin?
Aye.
Kip?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
No?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, next is approve the September 3rd.
Make a motion to approve the September 3rd minutes.
I'll second.
Additions or corrections? I have one. Even though I had to review them, it should be, instead of meeting minutes, I think it should be special meeting minutes, because it's a special meeting. Should be listed as a special meeting. Okay. With that change, any other discussion? Colin?
Aye.
Okay.
Change, or... Aye.
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 Yes. Okay, financials. Do we have a chance to review those?
Make a motion to approve the financials.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Colin?
Aye.
Kip?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes. Lions breakfast, waive fees.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? My only discussion is, next time, they should fill in the name or description of the event, not just say Lions. That's all it says, doesn't say what it's for. So we already know what it's for. Let's see, where am I at here? It's for the breakfast, so that's my only discussion. Colin?
Aye.
Good.
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes. Next one, Civic Club for Santa Days. They're looking for a waiver of the fee, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Colin?
Aye.
Kip?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes. Okay, next is Civic Club Committee for Small Business Saturday. I will move that we waive the fee for that. Give me 2 seconds.
Oh,
It doesn't matter.
Discussion? Come on.
aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes.
Speak up down there, I had ear surgery a couple years ago, so can't hear.
Obviously didn't work, did it?
Worked really well, you can't hear anybody, right?
It was custom tuned for my wife, so.
Okay, St. Edward's Catholic Church wants to do a permit for a raffle bingo.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Colin?
Aye.
Good.
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well, yes. Okay, new resident tax exemption for Joseph and Amy Schmidt. So they are looking to, correct me if I'm wrong, it's, is it 150,000 in 2 years? Is that what it is?
For up to $150,000 for value for 2 taxable years.
So we can decide how much it is, and we don't have to go 150, or we just automatically go 150. I think we always do go 150.
We have in the past.
Where are they at?
Behind my place,
Oh, okay, yeah.
isn't that new addition up there?
I'll make the motion that we, go $150,000, for 2 years. That'd be years, at 20, 21, it'd be, or it'd be?
I believe so.
Okay.
Second.
Discussion. Tom?
Aye.
Kip?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yes. Okay, Phoenix Water for street repair. Not sure what that.
Are we going to get to that this year, is why I brought it up. Well, we're passing this over, or doing the street, if there's any left over, if it was opened up, we could put that, any leftovers,
I don't know where you really want to put it up.
well, where the, sign, or the,
Right in front of Steve Richards' house,
Right.
sure.
right where the blockade is. It's so soft that they just have it there.
I haven't driven up that way in a long time, I didn't know there was one there.
Been there for a long time.
Yeah, if we have anything extra, if we have that dug out, we could, use any extra, because every once in a while,
Should be mandatory, that's gotta get fixed.
Yeah.
That's gotta get fixed before.
Yeah, I had no idea it was there.
yep, that's why I'm bringing it up. So we
They've
can
been
get,
putting, I see they've been putting pea gravel in there to fill
Oh.
that hole, and there's barricades up and everybody
Oh,
else.
okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Glad you brought that
Well,
up. I
we
forgot.
need
I just drove
to-
by there again the other day, and
yep,
Okay.
that's gotta get fixed, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, we can fix that, so.
especially if they're going to have a truck that might have extra on it.
Well, I don't know if it will or not, but.
Oh, I know engineers are never quite that good to have exact amounts of dirt.
No, I don't think the engineer decides how much stuff they're gonna put in it themselves, but.
Has Brian, you guys talked about that lately, or? Yeah, I think it's something that's gotten put by wayside and forgotten about,
Mhm.
Okay.
Everybody's Richard's house, right, they basically at the end of his driveway.
Yeah,
Right.
the garbage truck fell through this spring. So,
Brian was asking about, patching project, and I don't know if that's something that you guys have had a chance to talk about, but, quality asphalt's gonna be here to fix that.
exactly.
So if that's something, but I know that the budget right now that's the number one on everyone's plate, so if that's not something you wanna do this year, then.
Well, that area is one of the areas that, really needs to be, the whole thing needs to be redone. And I know, Colin, we had talked about a lot of those spots, we have some old tar that we were gonna mix up and spread on some of those bad areas. Whatever became of that, any
The
idea?
old tar?
Yeah.
Well, when they, rinse out those barrels.
Oh, we got those.
Oh, those old, that's right.
Yeah. You were gonna bring a mixer down, and we we're gonna try and mix those up.
That's right. Well, that was for the new tar, but I don't know, we'd have to look at this stuff over there and see if it's usable.
Right. I think that's something we need to look into.
So Brian didn't think it was because it's been frozen multiple times.
That's
I mean,
frozen.
if you got it, if
It's in a
it's,
heated garage,
even if
so.
it's liquid, I mean, it's gotta be better than nothing.
But it's in a heated garage.
It's not like it's,
but we need to have it prepped just in case we have extra.
well, right, no, I think we need, no, I think we need to just do it, you know. Not
Right,
if there's
and-
extra, we need to make sure that, you know.
Right, because I don't think that project, too many people are going to tolerate that after seeing all this.
How big of a spot is that?
10 by 15,
We'll have to go
probably,
look at it
something
there.
like that.
Remind me after the meeting.
But there's another little spot where it's all peeled up too, right close to there too,
But.
on the intersection.
But if we've got the asphalt company up here doing it.
Yeah, it'd be cheaper.
Mobilization is a lot of the cost, so if they're up here, it might be.
If the hole's dug, packed, you throw it in, spread it with the grader, and you're done.
And just to say too, that this would be something that the city would have in contract with Quality Asphalt. It's not something that you can work into this project.
That's right.
Right.
You have licensed sons as a general contractor,
That's
Quality
right.
Asphalt
Right.
is subcontractor. So this
We'd
would
have
be,
to-
much like the last time you guys did a patching project, I think we can contact Darren at Quality Asphalt.
Right.
And we would need to know at least how big the areas are that we need to
Okay.
fix and where they're at.
We'll have to
And then
measure
I
it.
think we can tell,
Right.
you know, but the earlier we tell him, the better.
Right,
So
you know, they might, you know.
because they might only have a day to do this,
Right.
and they might have to leave town, so it would be
We'll,
better to know.
we'll go look at it
Yeah.
after the meeting tonight,
Okay.
okay?
They have to make a decision and get going on it.
Yeah, so it's ready to
Tomorrow,
go.
or at least let them know tomorrow what's gonna go on.
Right, well, I think we're pretty much in agreement, it has to be fixed, so.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion for that? We need a motion for that?
Well, I would think so, because I'm not sure what the pricing of this is going to be, you know.
Okay, I will move that we, patch those spots up on, what's that? What road?
Jennifer Drive?
What, Jennifer Drive? Yeah, Jennifer Drive. Up in front of Steve Richards' house.
Right,
And then whatever the cost is, so.
and it'll come out of maintenance, street maintenance, right? Is where we have that.
Kelly Drive?
Kelly's farther,
No, no, it's not
Yeah.
Kelly, no.
that's
He's
break,
on Jennifer, he's on Jennifer.
yeah, I think.
Okay, Jennifer wraps all the way around,
Yeah.
ties into there.
Yeah, and it's right in that corner there, because
Yeah.
Kelly is breaking up too, but I think we can get by.
Yeah,
This week, I don't think we can get by with it.
okay. Anyway, I have a motion, is there a second?
I second that.
Discussion? Tom?
Aye.
Good.
Alright,
Mike?
Aye.
No? Okay. Ordinance 117A. We'll do the second reading of the, I don't have a copy of that.
I do. So, second reading, ordinance 117A-1.
Can I ask a real quick question? Was it put in the paper,
What put in the paper?
the ordinance change?
No, we do that afterwards.
Oh, I thought you did it before, so if people didn't like it, then they could complain. I thought it had to be in the paper before the second reading. Then people would have a chance to.
It says, "The title and penalty clause of every ordinance imposing any penalty, fine, imprisonment, or forfeiture for the violation of its provisions after the final adoption of the ordinance shall be published in one issue of the official newspaper of the city."
Okay. Well, okay, thank you.
So the second reading of 117.7.4 replat. A replat of existing lots for splitting or a merger shall follow the general platting requirements, but at a reduced procedure. Number one, submit an application and drawing of the replat to the code administrator with the application fee. Number two, a meeting will be scheduled with the Planning and Zoning Commission to consider the application. Number three, public hearings will be conducted according to 117.11 procedures of this ordinance. Number four, following the hearing, a recommendation will be made to the City Commission. Number five, all current taxes must be up to date for the replat consideration. Number six, see 117.7.5 below. 117.7.5 lot splits, lot mergers. A lot split or merger may be exempt from the platting or replatting requirements of this ordinance if the following conditions are met. Number one condition, letter A, that the lot split or merger does not contain more than 2 lots. Letter B, that the 2 lots conform to the requirements of the respective zoning district. Letter C, that the lots may be only split or merged once under these provisions. Letter D, that the lots are rezoned the same, adjoining, and in the same plat addition. Letter E, that the lot split or merge does not violate any provisions of city ordinances, plans, or any other state and local ordinances. Letter F, all current taxes must be up to date for their consideration. Number 2, procedure. An application and drawing shall be submitted to the code administrator. If the code administrator determines that the conditions are met, he or she shall schedule a review before a board made up of the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the City Commission President, and the code administrator. Written notice of application shall be sent to all property owners within 150 feet of the proposed lot. Upon completion, this board may approve, modify, deny, or refer the application to the full Planning and Zoning Commission for consideration. Number 3, the application. An application and fee shall be required for each request. Number 4, transfer of lots. No owner or agent of owner shall transfer, sell, or agree to sell any land before the lot split, replat, or plat is approved as provided under the requirements of this ordinance.
Do we have the motion to accept the second reading? I'll move to accept the second reading and also the final passage of the amendment to ordinance 117A-1. If that makes sense.
Second.
Discussion.
Shouldn't this be, well, you said too before, you said final passage. Shouldn't this go to the public for review before final passage though? You need to be able to review it, otherwise they don't get a chance to see it.
What does it say?
It just talks about that the fines have to be published in the paper after the final passage.
The fines have to be published in the paper for the final passage?
Because I asked
Before.
Stephanie
If there's a fine.
from the League of Cities if I have to publish this whole thing.
Yeah.
And she said, no, just the fine. She says, only the title penalty clause of the ordinance needs to be published in the official newspaper. We usually tell cities that for the title, the city should be enough that someone has an idea that a change made to an area he or she is interested in. The official newspaper would be the same newspaper that you publish your city minutes in and other legal notices in. For example, if the city had an ordinance prohibiting snowmobiling within the city limits, the title snowmobiling prohibited within the city of Grandview, and the penalty clause, violators subject to a penalty of fine up to $50.
So it'd be just that section of snowmobile, of whatever section we're talking about,
Right.
should be published.
Well, there's no fine, is
There's
there?
no fine though.
Well, there is a fine section, 117.13. Anyone who violates the provisions of this ordinance or fails to comply with any of its requirements upon conviction shall be punished by a fine of no more than $500 per day. Each fine that a violation continues shall constitute a separate offense.
But we didn't change that though.
No, we didn't.
So,
But should we publish this section of the ordinance?
well, I think that,
along with that?
Right, those two pieces.
Just we don't need the whole 100 pages.
That way, if somebody does do a replot that's wrong, we
well, they have
can,
to come to us for it.
right, so we just have to put it in the paper. That section and what the fine would be.
Do you want to amend the motion to include that?
We need to put fines in. We're not changing them.
This is a procedure, it's not a violation, it's a procedure. That's a good question. Okay, I am going to amend my motion to say, we approve the second reading, and that'll be it. Then I think we need to research exactly what needs to be in there, and then we can define passage at the next meeting.
you still second that?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Colin?
Aye.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
No.
Aye.
Yes. Okay. Okay, final budget due on October 10th, already done with that. Mighty Mo Classic Bike Race.
We got a phone call from, 10 minutes ago. They did this bike race last year. Last year they were down at Riverside Park. They left from Riverside Park, went out to 200, drove up to 83, and then 83 all the way down to Bismarck. This year they're wanting to come up to Maine and go through Maine. The race is on the 28th of September.
So just come up River Road up to Maine, like by the cafe, and then head out.
Right. I mean, one thing will be is if our road is done, I mean, that will determine whether we can actually go out Maine. But the other question is he's asked.
Oh, they go out Maine this way?
Go out Maine
Oh,
this way.
oh. Well, it should be done. But
The other thing he asked is if we'd be able to do it as a closed race. So that's meaning close off traffic for that period of time so that they can ride their bikes through with no traffic.
That could be for
Could be like,
hours.
no, like half hour tops.
'Cause
Because
there's
it's
a
just like
meeting.
50 people. And they're starting down at the Riverside Park, so they just have to get out of
Oh,
town.
Riverside Park, okay.
Yeah,
who would be responsible for closing the street?
well, that would be us.
Yeah.
I don't know if to close the streets, but yeah, I was there at 7 in the morning
You were? Why?
to meet the races,
Oh.
coffee, registration, that.
Hmm. You doing it again this year?
I haven't been asked. You provided all that, or you just helped? I just helped. He didn't ask for any of that, he just asked if they could go out Maine, and then, yeah, the option would be if we would allow them to go out. If we could close Maine, I mean, he's not asking that you have to close off traffic, it's just a nice thing to do.
Is there a time that they're leaving? So we could close
That would
it
be
off?
good to know.
Right,
I mean, if it's the wrong time of day,
right.
The mandatory pre-race meeting is at 8:45 a.m., and I think it started at 9. Yeah, 9 a.m.
So if we
school
close it
buses are all
for,
done and...
for an
No,
hour?
Saturday, it's a Saturday, September
Saturday.
28th.
Oh, it's Saturday.
So
Yeah.
if it's just an hour, you know, we could close it for an hour, and that way they would be out of here.
But you have to have personnel to
You
do
got
it.
personnel, so now we're paying overtime to have guys close the street, set up barricades or whatever.
Sounds
I don't know
like a
if I
good
want
thing for the in-county sheriff's department.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe we should talk to them.
Yeah.
He doesn't even return my messages anymore.
I don't know if we need to close off the street. I mean, unless...
I don't
they-
think there's gonna be that much traffic
No,
anyway.
the thing is, if they wanted to provide personnel to, like, do that, might be, but I don't think we want to. Do we?
We'll supply the barriers. They want to supply the personnel.
They'd have to put them up, take them down. Thing is, though, if they come up by the cafe and all the way across, that's a lot of barriers, man.
Mm-hmm.
We even have that many barriers.
I don't know.
I would say,
I would say,
not closing the road.
I would say, yeah,
You know,
wanna make a
they
motion?
can come out here, but,
Make a motion.
okay, I'll make a motion that we can allow them to come down and out Main, but we're not gonna close off Main Street to traffic.
I'll second that. Discussion? I'm thinking if they want a deputy to sit there with a flashing light on his car, they could contact them. You know, it wouldn't be up to us, but they could contact them and that would be fine, so.
Paying them for it,
Hmm?
we're paying them for it.
Yeah. I'll be out of the business of it, Art. Okay, any other discussion? Colin?
Aye.
Good.
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Lauren?
Aye.
Yes. Starion Bond Services.
Okay, so I did hear back from David Lindell on this. I asked him to review this contract, and he thinks it's just a renewal of the contract that you previously had with them. They're just updating their information. He said he's okay with it as it's written. So the Starion Bond Services is wanting to execute this agreement at the League of Cities meeting. So they're wanting me to bring it with to have them execute it. So asking for your approval to enter into this agreement, provided that they change the name of the city auditor to myself instead of Joan. We have that incorrect.
I'm wondering if their fees are going up also. This must be a new fee schedule. That's probably why they wanna update this. Because it says fee schedule July 2019. So I'm assuming, that's why they wanna update it, I'm guessing.
Like a yearly contract?
I could not find a contract like this, and David said he's never seen a contract like this before with them. Because I said, how often does this happen? He's like, I've never seen one.
Can you request the previous contract from Starion?
I can.
So we could
I'm just
double
curious,
check to see where we're at.
If it automatically renews, or if there's a contract expiration, or if it's
Especially if we can't find it.
a never-ending contract, if we're in there now, and we sign a new one, does it cost much more with the new one?
Well, this might be, or these fees might, when we do a bond with them, these fees are probably in there when we do the bond, and this might be.
Oh, so it doesn't cost us nothing unless we do a bond.
I wouldn't think so, or else we need something done.
Or is this the bonding for previous projects?
That's what this is, yeah. Since that's what all of these are that are listed behind it.
These are all previous projects.
Oh,
Yeah, previous projects.
But I guess the question is,
Because if you look at that Schedule B1 through B7, I think it is,
Yeah.
they're all the listing of all the old
right,
bonds that you have, current bonds, I should say, not old, current.
So then that brings up the question, if there's a new fee schedule, hear me out here, if your old fees were, say, here and new fees are here, is this kind of an ongoing evolution of possibly why we're shortfall on the specials?
these fees don't look that huge, but, I don't know.
But I mean, what were they 5 years ago
I don't know.
compared to what they're gonna be now?
I guess it wouldn't hurt to ask for more of an explanation on what this is. When did you get this ring? Did they send this to you, or did you pick it up at a meeting you were at, or?
We got this in the mail. It was postmarked August 30th.
And there
And I
was
got
really
it
no
just a few days
explanation with
later.
it? There was no explanation with it,
Just what you have a copy of.
yeah, see that? I guess it wouldn't hurt to get a little more info on it, I guess. Do we have to do this at the League of Cities meeting?
Oh, you do not.
So,
I mean, it's a contract, so, it's up to you when you want to execute it or not, if you want to execute it or not.
I think maybe we need a little more information on this and what it's about, and, is it a fee or a rate change, or a what? Anything about it?
Never saw that or that. Is that a big on it, or, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's the blank date, the blank.
Yeah, and Miguel said he'd never seen one before. So I'm like, okay, how often do you do this? Like, he's like, I've never seen one before, and I did not find them in the file.
Yeah,
A lot of these dated, like maybe 2016.
Yeah, I'm wondering when you did each of these, bonds with Starion, each of these projects, if this document wasn't part of that original thick packet that signed and approved.
Could have some
I
on
mean,
it.
I'm thinking it's part of those big packets that's back there.
Right, that's what I think.
Then we'd have to look at them, what they originally said for fees. what is that, the next one that we do? And the old ones stay the same? Because it says something about audit in here too, an audit fee.
You know, and the thing is, you know, say you look at, say, the B1, you know, it's, say, you know, 2016, 2024, by resolution duly adopted on blank and requires the service of the planning agent below. You gotta fill in the date by resolution adopted. Is that resolution, we have to look up that date and put it in there, I'm assuming, right? And then I'm assuming this EMMA, I don't think that would be a big deal. You probably want that, right? Did you read up on it at all? Kind of a disclosure thing, the way it looks. I don't know. I think we need more info. Okay, well, yeah. Oh, hey, Eric, you look like you're jumping up a bit here. Where's your piece of paper?
I have one for you here. If you-
Maybe I got one.
I got another copy for you if you want one.
Thank you.
So I got the update sheet there. If you don't care, I'll go on to the Main Avenue project first.
Hang on.
So Main Avenue project, I'm sure you guys have seen or have talked to some people around town about it, but our subgrade, backfill, and compaction's done. Our concrete work has started, and that was going pretty well until, you know, obviously we've had all this rain this last weekend and today. So that's been putting a damper on our progress, but we're looking at finishing the curb and gutter this week. And we were hoping to be able to maybe pave by the end of this week. That's not going to happen. I would say probably by the end of next week, and that's if the weather cooperates. But in the 5-day forecast, that it looks like at least 2 out of those 5 days are going to be rain. So Weiss has been on it every day. When we have rain or if it's in the forecast, I'm always getting updates from them. So they are sticking to it, and they will continue to work to get this thing done. So I don't have any doubts in them doing that. So is there any questions on the Main Avenue project?
So I'm sure they're going to ask for an extension.
They probably will. Ryan called me, the project manager from Weiss had talked to me about that, and he's like, you know, you didn't ask for it, but he said, you know, we are continuing to push to try to get this thing done. And I said, I would much rather you guys make sure you get it done right than try to push to make some deadline. So, you know, obviously we want to get it done, but we need to make sure it's done correctly. So.
Well, there's no way they're going to get it done this week.
No.
And their deadline
No,
is
there's
Friday.
Yep, their deadline is Friday. Yep, and that's after we've already extended it once. But it's just been really wet this year. It's been really tough to get projects done.
You know, they've been really, really good about everything they do down there. They're, you know, going the extra mile.
Do you been getting my pictures I sent when it was raining?
Mm-hmm.
So you saw what kind of mess there is.
Yeah,
it's
a mess right now.
And they're trying everything they can to divert the water and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
I just wanted to make sure you were.
And I didn't know that they were going to do that specific. I know they were going to do something. They were going to dam it up or try to channel the water away from it. And they're definitely making efforts to minimize the effects of all the.
I didn't know if you were seeing that since Brian's been out lately.
Yeah.
If you were getting.
They are sending me pictures too, and they're giving me updates. Yeah, they'll call me. If they don't call me, then I'll call them. But they've been really good on that too, which is another thing that's just a positive thing about a contractor that calls the engineer to update them. That doesn't happen very often. So that's good that they are doing that.
I stopped down and talked to Aldo quite a bit also.
Yeah.
I think we need to give them another week extension.
Yeah.
And Ryan will probably reach out with that request, and then I'll send you another one of those forms.
Well, the problem is we don't have another meeting.
Yeah, is it okay if we just, like,
Till the
since they were
28th.
so good to work with, is it okay if we
I'm-
extend and
I'm
just do
gonna
it?
just cover this a little bit more to say, we don't know what even the next week or two is gonna be. Rather than sit here and do this again, I'm gonna make a motion that we extend that deadline out till September 30th.
Make it the 28th, that way the bikers can go through.
Make it the end of the month.
They'll get it done as soon as they can,
Yeah,
too.
I know they're gonna get it done.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Discussion. Call,
Aye.
good,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
no,
Aye.
yes. You know, and the thing is, they wanna get it done.
Right.
It's not like they're gonna,
No, they're not dragging their feet, it's just the weather.
And if we work well with them, they're gonna work well with us, like.
Okay.
Okay.
You will pass that on to them?
Yeah, I will let them know, yep. And they'll be happy to hear that, so thank you for that.
Don't tell them the full 30th.
They give you another week.
Just give them, say they
Keep
give
them on
you
their toes.
2 weeks,
Give them
yeah.
a week and a half,
Don't let
and
them,
then
you know,
when they
just,
come back to you.
okay, yeah, we got 2 more weeks to go, 4 more weeks, so.
Knowing Ryan the way he is, he'll probably want to see it on paper, but,
Yeah.
I'll make sure they know that it's, that we're okay. But going on to the intake project, I will say, despite some of the things that have been said tonight in the room, we do work really hard to come up with extra, grant dollars for the city for projects. And we've been working really hard the last, couple of weeks, really since the bid opening for the intake project to get extra money. We, as you can see in the update, we sent a letter to the state engineer. We're getting a lot of money right now from the Water Commission for this intake project, and we are asking for additional money. I also, in that letter that the city sent, it asks for to be put on the agenda for the next commission meeting, state water commission meeting. We've also set up a meeting for this week. I haven't confirmed it yet, but we're trying for Wednesday at 1:30 to meet with Jay Volk. He's the commissioner for the lower Missouri River drainage basin, which is where Bismarck and Washburn fall under. So he's the commissioner for our area on the State Water Commission, the board.
That would be Eric and I.
Yeah, so Larry and I would meet with him, and basically we'll make our appeal to them and to him in person. So the state engineer has a letter from the city, and then Larry will be able to talk with him more about that letter itself, and then we can talk about the project more and just kind of lay out, you know, what has gone on in this project over the last few years, and you know, to make our appeal that much better for the State Water Commission to justify giving us more money for this project. So we'll see what comes of that meeting this week. And again, if the state engineer and our representative for our area will bring that to their meeting, and it'll give us a much better chance to be able to get those funds, those extra funds. We have 45 days from the bid opening to award the project, but I did talk to ECI. Shane McFadden is the VP at ECI who signed their bid, and he is okay with us extending that award date back, so we do have more time. He said he'd be okay with a 30-day extension. I need to get that on paper to make sure that we're covered, but he had said that to me word of mouth. I talked to him on the phone today about it. He, you know, obviously he wants the project to go forward. The only thing that he would need to check on is the bid price that he's gotten from the shaft excavation sub that they have. Because if the intake project was to go forward this year, they would want to make sure they want to be able to accomplish that. They want to get the shaft excavated. So he needs to check on that with that sub. He said shouldn't be an issue, but he's the only one that they would really need to check on. And if the project would still go forward this year, they would be able to get all their materials and stuff for what they bid on it. What they bid.
Wouldn't matter.
The electrical sub, I have a message into him. I'm guessing that one won't matter, but I still got to get confirmation from him as well. And I will, if this is something that continues to progress forward to the project going to fruition, we would want to make sure that, I would make sure that we'd have that on paper from them, that they would honor their bid at least until 60 days, or when we know that we would have more funding for this project.
Right.
Because I know that it's, in talking with the community here and what your guys' opinion, I'm sure, is that, you know, we want to make sure that we can have the funding there and available for the project if we are going to go forward with the project. So.
Well, another avenue is to double check with the McLean Shared and Rural Water, 'cause I know they said they put money towards it,
Right.
just to see how much.
Mm-hmm.
They're
And they-
looking at 10% of our,
Yep, they were looking at 10%, and I sent out the budget summary, and this is the budget summary that we mailed with the letter to the state engineer's office, and we have that in there, showing how much that they would be paying, and they had said they had committed to 10% of what the city's share would be. So.
you know, I did put some figures together on this. You know, if we get this additional 692,000, you know, from the State Water Commission, that would bring our share down to $603,000. We've already spent about
245,
you know,
246,000.
we have 313 originally, you know, in surge money, which is where we were paying from the other. So you take 603 minus 313, that leaves $290,000. You know, 10% of the $600,000, 60,000 coming from rural water. That leaves $130,000. I would propose going to one sales tax for $150,000, and then that would leave $80,000, and I would propose taking that out of water treatment plant upgrade account.
You run my account.
Water treatment plant upgrade. But that way, we can fund it. Obviously, we still have to go through an SRF loan. And you said that you don't have to take out the whole loan to take out.
Right.
Can you explain that? And what
Yes,
that's-
yes. So I talked with Deanne Ament. She's the Public Finance Authority from the state about this, and of course she's somewhat of an expert for financials. And she said with the SRF loan, you know, we would put on there what we need for funding, but that does not mean that we have to borrow that much. She would only need to see, because they for any SRF loan they take out, the state will analyze your financials to make sure you have the means of paying that loan back. That's part of the whole process, of course. And we would only have to show that we would be able to pay back what we're going to borrow. So, say we put in for a loan for $1 million, and we went throughout the process. We say we're only going to be borrowing the $300,000 or whatever it is that we finalize that it would be. Then they would analyze the financials, say, yep, the city over a 20-year period that this loan is, they will be able to pay. We'll have no issues paying back this amount. So like again, you can put in on the loan application that to borrow more, but you don't have to borrow all of that. And you can also pay the loan down early, you know, if other funds would become available. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
Let's, you want to explain like the draw from the water commission, you know that too.
Yes, okay, so we've done a number of reimbursement requests from the State Water Commission, and those take 7 to 10 days typically to get reimbursed on those. With the FEMA grant that we have, also another, it's a $1 million grant that we have for this project. It's about the same. It takes about a week to 10 days. If there's somebody that needs to sign it that's out of the office, it could, you know, maybe take a couple days or a week longer, but about the same amount of time. But in talking to Justin Messner, he works for the Department of Emergency Services, and that's who I work through to FEMA. I don't work directly to FEMA. I work through North Dakota Department of Emergency Services, and we would be able to draw money out in advance out of that grant early. The up to 90% of what their share would be. So if we needed to if we had a bill for $100,000, we could pull out 90% of what their matching grant would be, and they're a 75% matching grant. So we could pull that money out in advance. It would make it easier to get the ball rolling on the reimbursement request if we could get an advance from the grant. So it's kind of confusing, but it makes it easier for the city.
Then we don't have to borrow as much.
You don't have to borrow as much, correct, yeah.
Because you have to pay first. Right?
Yes, so
Unless you get it.
typically like what we've done so far in engineering fees for the intake project, you guys have paid us to do our work, and then we amass those invoices, and we submit a reimbursement request to the state. And Jeffrey Mattern is the guy that we send those reimbursement requests to, and he goes through those and he verifies everything, and then he issues the reimbursement to the city. So, and whatever the city pays, they reimburse 65% of that back, because 65-35 matching grant. So, that's how that works. But they need to see proof of payment, basically. And it would be the same thing for your proof of payment to us. We send you invoices. The contractor will also send you a pay application for a project, so you can use that for your proof of payment.
And when you get a pay application from them, you have so much time to look it over and then...
Right. So any pay application, all I do when I get, for any project we do, whether it's a street project, an intake project or whatever, I'm going to get a pay application from the contractor, and I will review it and make sure everything is kosher, and then I would recommend payment to the city. Or I would recommend the city to make this amount of payment to the contractor. Now, whatever I recommend, that doesn't mean that you got to pay that amount. You would pay, well, I don't think they got this much work done, and so we're only going to pay them this much. So, like, that's completely up to you to do that. But every payment that you make to a contractor is reviewed and authorized by the commission.
That's what the Main Street project is, and that's what's in the bills this time.
Right. So so how I handled that one, and there's a number of ways that we do this, depending on what project it is. I sent the pay application to Rainey, and in my email to her I said their pay application is for this amount. I recommend payment for this amount. And if there's any questions whatsoever, to please let me know so I can explain them to you. That's a unit price project, and it just depends on how much work that they got done, and I just basically am verifying the work's done, and I'm checking their math on the application. And if it's all kosher, then I recommend them on a payment that they've completed.
Yeah, I guess my biggest concern, or reason for asking this is if they submit a pay request, can we get funds advanced from State Water Commission and FEMA without having to borrow? Or do you think we're going to have to borrow to do that?
I think at some point you'd have to borrow. It depends on what the State Water Commission comes back with, if they have additional funds available for this project. But I think you're going to have to borrow at some point if you're going to do this, and it would be better to draw those funds from the loan.
Right.
And then, because once you pay it, then you can do your reimbursement request, and you can get that money back.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And I think as long as we're upfront with the contractor, they'll be understandable. They'll understand on the city's situation, on say, okay, well, it's going to take us 2 extra weeks on this one, type of thing.
Okay.
So, both contractors, the electrical and the general, are well aware of, why, because normally it doesn't take this long to go into contracting, and I've explained it to them that, hey, we're making sure that this is something that the city wants to go forward with, and if that we have the financial means to do it.
Right.
So,
well, and I think that's huge.
Well, we've got to fund this 100% through grants or something. Like, we just can't throw this back on the city.
Right.
So, I mean, if we're looking at assessments or, doing something there, to me, it won't fly. It just can't fly.
Well, I think if we don't get this additional money from the State Water Commission, then it's done.
Done deal.
But if we do get it, like I said, that surge money would cover half of it, because we've already committed that, or because it was like $315,000, I think, originally, something like that. And then you know, basically we gotta come up with like 230 to 250,000. We've already spent a ton of money on it already, you know. And all the money that we're getting, you know, if we get this from, this extra money, we're looking at what, $4 million?
It'll be over $4 million of free money, of grant money that we've got for this project.
You
Let
know,
me stop you right there. Nothing's free. Nothing is
Grant money.
free.
Okay.
Grant money is not free.
Okay.
Can't
any,
drill that into people's heads. It's costing the taxpayers, so,
yeah, but if we don't get it, somebody else will.
you know.
When will we know if, from the board, we'll get that?
October 10th.
Okay.
So we will have that meeting this week with our representative, or our local commissioner, Jay Wolf is his name, and Larry and I will have a meeting with him, and we'll see what we can learn from him. Obviously, he'll know a lot more information than we know right now, and then we can, you know, hopefully get a response from the state engineer's office, because we've sent that letter now. 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago.
Yeah,
So it'd be nice to hear from him as well. But their next meeting is October 10th, so that's kind of what we're looking at.
I guess that being said, I would like to put in a request to the one that's out there. If we get money, if tentatively they would, you know, fund $102,000 this project. Because that way we would know if they say yes, then we'll go before the case. And if it fails, then we don't get it. If it goes through and say yes, we have more funds. Doesn't work that. But if I know all the funding is going to be before we do that, I still tempt it.
You don't have $150,000 in our infrastructure accounts, they have 117.
Well, that's what they have in there, but they could earmark it when it comes in, because we wouldn't need it right away. You know.
Not if we pull this other, like you said, from
Oh,
FEMA
we
or
wouldn't need it
whatever.
till next
Right,
year
that's what I
probably
mean.
sometime, if that, so, but we would know the funding is there. So I want to make a motion that we ask Centennial for $150,000 toward this project, you know, providing the other funding comes through. Discussion? Somebody wants to ask more? Call.
Aye.
Kit?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
yeah. Okay, so Randy will set up a meeting. Thank you. Okay.
So other than that, we are working on the SRF loan application, and I would recommend that we send that application in. Again, if you send a loan application in, at any time you can tell them we
Right.
don't need it.
Right.
But it's better to have it in, just like how you were saying earlier on the budget, it's better to have that in there and then lower it later.
Right.
I mean, you can have the loan application in and take it back later,
Yeah.
but it's a lot harder to, after the fact, send in a loan application, be like, oh crap, now we gotta send in a loan application, because that doesn't happen just like that. There's
Right.
like 3 or 4 levels before
Oh, yeah.
a loan application is approved. It takes time, so,
Okay.
Rainey and I have been working on that together, so, we'll continue to work on that, and then, once we get it finalized, then we'll just need some signatures from you, Larry, on that, and then we could send that in. But,
Okay.
if we'll see how this meeting goes on Wednesday, and, you know, as the process goes, then we can finalize that loan
Right.
Is
application.
there any
so.
cost associated with that application?
With the loan application? No. No.
Just double checking.
No, we're just filling out the paperwork. So that's that. So again, it looks like we can have the 60 days on holding bids But I will, like I said, we'll get that in writing from the contractors before that's gospel. And that's all I had for the intake project, unless anyone had any questions on it.
When does our option with Doug run out? Doug Price?
That'd be a good question for Mr. Lindell.
Well, it was 6 months. When did we?
Landed in April.
We might make it.
And there was earnest money involved with that, and,
Yeah.
and it said 6 months on the.
I don't remember the date.
I believe it was 6 months.
Okay.
We'd have to
Okay, we'll have to keep that in mind as
It'll
well.
be close.
Okay.
If we check on that and it's gonna be like really, really close, then I'll just talk to them.
Yeah, keep in touch with them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, the only other thing I had to update was the water treatment plant. I don't know if anyone's been able to get down there and see the water plant, but they've gotten a good portion of the ceiling done. I have not seen it myself. This is all information I've gotten from Adam, and you've seen it?
Yep.
Looks good? Okay. Good. So, I think they were gonna finish this week. They were gonna be back working at it again. I don't know if you've seen
Yeah, they
them
were
working
there
it.
today.
Okay. You're gonna wrap it up this week, you think?
I didn't stop in today, I
Okay.
just seen the vehicles,
Okay.
but they didn't have a lot left, but
Okay.
I would sure think they'd have it done this week.
Yeah. I don't know what day you said that you wanted it done, but we're almost there. We almost got it done.
Well, yeah.
That's all I have.
Questions there?
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Portfolios, Colin.
Talked about the ceiling, so that's all I had.
Good.
I got nothing really other than, I know we talked about this a while ago, but the light pull out on 83 by Senex, when that got knocked down
Yeah, what's up with that?
a couple of years ago.
So, we ordered a new pole, we needed to wait till the spring to re-pour a new base. Then DOT came in and said, don't replace it because we're gonna be doing a whole new set of lights out there next year.
Oh,
So it's not gonna be repaired this year, it won't be repaired until next year when they do their whole new set of lights.
oh, okay. I noticed the one on the south side, that, right at the Senex side, that's out too.
You know, that one day I came into town, it was out. The next day I came in town, it was working.
Oh, really?
So when did you notice it was out last?
This morning.
Okay, see, so I must have something with it.
And Otter Tail's aware of that light, I called them and asked them about it, so it's on their list.
All right.
Yeah, okay, because I had mentioned to Rainey, and then I said that next day I drove by and it was off.
Good.
Okay, Terry's here, and I would like to thank him and his whole crew and the people donated the stuff for the Memorial Hall. We went in, dug down, we found wet clay all the way down to the bottom of the footings. We put drain tile in, we put fabric pea gravel, put tar and rubber matting along the wall. We filled everything up, patched it up all the way up with vines next to the building. We refilled in the clay. We have a culvert with a sump pump in it now, and we're going to make that more permanent as we go along so it can pump out the water automatically and be wired into the building when it needs to be. So the project went really well. I can't express any more, how happy I am that we did it right. And we should find out in the next couple days if everything went as planned.
Well, the other rain, there was no water in the basement, so I think it's sealed up.
Right. So that project is done.
Not quite done.
Well, we're still working on putting a cap on it and getting prices for that rate is what we were thinking.
I was gonna talk to Larry, because the way we have it, our plan is to put like about 8 inches of gravel on there.
Right.
And then if we pour cement next year, just take 4 inches off for the cement. But I'm wondering about that crushed concrete up there.
Okay,
If we buy gravel, we're looking probably $10 a ton. The crushed concrete is $20 a ton. Now, if anybody has an in with the concrete company, and if they would donate like half the cost, we would be more than willing to pick up the other half. We need about 100 yards.
okay. That'd be the whole parking lot?
About 10.
The whole parking lot, or?
If we go 8 inches on it'll take like 100 yards to cover what we dug up.
Okay.
That would be like the parking part.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty long.
It's about 110 feet long, and it'd be
Yeah, 100 yards.
about 10 truckloads.
Yeah.
Terry, I'd suggest if you get a chance, drive up to our place tomorrow. We did our whole parking lot this spring. Chris
Right.
hauled that in, and I think he put in about 3 inches
Of that concrete.
crushed concrete. So you can see, you know, what it looks like with trucks on it and traffic.
It's supposed to be really good.
It packs very hard.
Mhm.
So, you know, I don't know if you're gonna need 8 inches.
Well, see, we were going to put 8 inches as a cap, and then next spring, all we have to do is take off the cement thickness. You want to move it over.
And then just spread it on the rest of the parking lot then.
If,
That's cool.
you know, if we got a commitment from them that we could get crushed concrete, we'd probably move some of the gravel that's there now over, and then put 4 inches on half the parking lot.
Mhm.
Because that would, 100 ton, 100 yards would about do it.
I
And
think we have a contact, because that written that letter, you know, for when we did the ramp down there, fishing, pier access ramp. We got that donated, so we have a contact. We'll have to see what we come up with.
Okay, yeah, if you would work on that, and then, if we don't get that, we'll buy it from Todd DeMonte. And it'll be some kind of a gravel, whatever. So we're looking at like $1,000 approximately for the gravel to bring it back up so you can park on it. So if we could get the crushed concrete for $1,000, that would be a much better deal, I think.
See what we can do.
I'd have to say if Knife River knew it was for the American Legion and stuff like that,
Yeah,
I'd find it hard for them not to believe that they wouldn't just donate. I mean, that little bit that you're asking for, that ain't nothing to them.
It's a huge pile there.
well,
I mean, that's,
you know, it's their call. You know, all we can do is ask.
and we got our own dump truck here, don't we still got that one? So, I mean, we can haul it, you know, they just donate the product and we can haul it, you know? I ain't gonna take nothing for fuel to run that little bit down there.
Yep, no, that would be, yeah, like I said, we got the contact information for the guy to talk to, so.
And
See what we come up with.
has anybody been in the memorial building? We tore the wall out in the dining room. It was
Bad.
It was worse than bad. Bad does not describe it. The 2x4 along the bottom was about half there, and it was totally black. Everything was wet, 3.5 feet up in the sheetrock on that whole wall on the east side, in half of the dining room.
Under it, yeah.
We tore that all out. We may do something with the window that's in there. I don't know. I don't know what
You haven't
that
done anything with that yet?
Pardon?
You haven't done anything with the window yet?
All we did is we tarred up to the bottom of it. And then the glass is there, but some of those glass blocks are broken, one of them's full of cement. And we got a whole pile sitting behind the building that we need to decide what we're going to do if we're gonna have people lay new block in there. But it's pretty much tight. The problem we had in the Legion room is fixed. There's no water rolling in there anymore. So that project is coming along pretty good. The kitchen project, Jamie's coming on the week of the 16th to finish. So eventually, did I say his name right, Jamie?
Yep.
Jamie Weber. We're scheduled for the 16th. The fire suppression people were there last week, and they put everything in. The automatic thing, you know, the switch is pulled, he's got that in.
Right.
So that's all in. We're just waiting on electric. And we'll have them put a plug-in out by where the sump will be. We'll have them do that.
Mhm.
And then with the video wall, he needs to wire that.
Yep.
And then we have the plywood that we're going to put on there. It just needs to be painted and then put up there.
Daryl last told me you're gonna put it up in that.
Pardon?
He told me you're gonna put it up in that.
Well, you change the plans.
That's what he told me.
It doesn't surprise me. Plans change constantly.
Yeah.
And you gotta roll with the punches. Now, okay,
Just wanna interject, but Terry and I were walking around the building the other day, and I think Terry and I agreed that Mike was gonna volunteer to fix that. The rain gutter downspout on the west side of the building.
You agreed.
The west side?
It's just that thin wall PVC drain pipe
Yeah.
that's just shattered.
Right.
It wouldn't have cost, it wouldn't take much to do that, but.
Now,
I think
my
we should-
question is, do we wanna go with that again, or do we wanna get the black downspout and just run it along the ground and out? On each one?
You're building the ground, you figure it out.
Well, I talked to somebody that might wanna rent the other half on the other side that they're cleaning out, and there is moisture in that side, so somewhere along the way, we gotta come up with a plan for that side too.
There's moisture on the west side too?
Mm-hmm. There was a puddle before, but this last time she said that there's just wet in the cracks right now.
In the basement?
Yep. On the,
Well,
Really?
the water gets trapped
right, so
in
we,
there, so, but yeah.
but we do have to come up with a plan. But I was just wondering if we just wanna use that black drain tile and hook to each pipe and just run it out. That way it's on the ground, so if the snow comes down, it don't shatter everything.
That might work. That
I
might
guess
work.
we're gonna pull water and freeze again, that's my only concern. I mean,
Right.
if it all slopes, it shouldn't, but it is kinda,
Well, there's 3 feet of drop from the street side down to the alley. Maybe not on the west side, but on the east side, there's like 3 or a little more than 3 feet of drop.
Yeah.
And a little lower on the west. Anyway, what else? The bridal show. We had a Legion meeting this morning. We're going to make up a brochure to market Memorial Hall try to snag some weddings to come up here. Just for your info, 1603 in Bismarck is somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 to rent that. They have Josh DeMarle's name on it. I guess it's his sister that owns it. So we don't have Josh DeMarle, but we got Larry Thomas. And
We don't want to
the
give him
barn
back.
down by Lincoln is between 3,500 and 5,000. So our $500 is cheap. It's very cheap. We need to have our brochure done probably by the end of December. So if you guys choose to up the rent to a higher level, we will still have value. You know, if you went to 1,000 or 1,500, that's still a hell of a value compared to 8,000 or 10,000. And the barn, you know, it's a barn, and they get 3,500. They get 3,500 minimum, 5,000. So,
Yeah, I know, my daughter got married there, but don't. We just raised our fees, right?
yeah, well, you went to 500,
Yeah.
which is, like, I'm just saying, if you wanna change that, do it before December so we can get it in our brochure. And then, say, that takes care of that. There's a, Noel got this. It's for,
You guys all have it already.
oh, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think it's a hell of a deal. Irregardless what Colin thinks that there is no free money, there's 5,000 free dollars right here. And that is a hell of a gift. So I don't expect the city to pay anything, but we can definitely do the 5,000 to get the match, and that'd be 10,000. And we made a line of credit at the bank for $50,000 for Memorial Hall renovations. So we're able to do some stuff that needs to be done. This morning they kind of said maybe the doors were not, we may stall the doors off, but I'd like to see the doors done. What do they call that thing? The elevator. The elevator, the doors, and maybe next year replace that cement on the west door, so when you step out there, you don't wrench your back, because it's that 6-inch drop or whatever. But that's our plan. Just need your guys' permission to, I guess, to do this, being that you guys own the building, or you manage the building for the city. We need permission to do this.
I think it all sounds like a really, really good idea.
I'll make the motion to go forward with the elevator, with the financing, what we got planned, if everything goes through the way it should. We need somebody to go up to the meeting. All the work that we've done, we're going the right way with it. So I just make a motion that we do the elevator and try to get the grant that we can. And
We'd have to first match the first 2,000 to get the 5,000.
Like, it looks to me like they will give a maximum of 5,000. They will match.
Well, I called them today, and so, and we'll find out more on the 18th when we go up there. So what it sounded like to me was to qualify for the grant dollars, give total minimum of 2,000 must be reached first. And then, because this is how I talked to you, but no, this is when I talked to you first. Then give us the 5,000, and then if we get, again, we'll find more details on the 18th, but it sounded like if we can get even more donations, we may get another 10,000, up to 10,000. In addition to...
That's how you read that? Well, see,
it's kind of confusing.
It is really confusing. That's why I don't want to say it's like too much, just because...
The way I read it is they will match to a maximum of 5,000. Okay? And you have to get $2,000 before they give anything.
Right.
That 2,000, they'll match 2,000. If you get 5,000, they will send a check for 10,000 to the city. Their 5,000 match and the 5,000 that we sent them. And then they will, and any other funds will be given to the city, but it won't match it. Okay, funds received over the 5,000 will not be matched, but will be distributed to the organization in addition to the 10,000. So what they're saying is, if we have 5,000, they'll match it, and any more they would just give to the city.
And that's why, so on this form, it has like the Facebook page, because then, once we find out all our details, then we push that information out to the media, and then people can go, if they choose to, they can donate.
Oh, to that project.
Yep, and then at the end, we would get that additional, so if, you know,
Right.
yeah.
But, you know, with this, with the $5,000 donated to them, they give it back to us and match it. That leaves $12,000 left to pay,
Mhm.
which is, for an elevator, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's a little bit less because of sales tax in there. They figure sales tax in there too. So that's why I made the motion that if this funding goes through, like, you know, that's where we'd be at.
Well, I think an elevator would be very good for that building.
Okay, well, we have a motion, we have a second. What was the motion?
Who was louder?
What was the motion?
The motion was to go ahead with putting the elevator in, if we get enough money through the funding, you know, for this donation through this grant. So basically, we're going to find out how much money we're going to have.
Right, got it, I got it, oh.
Okay,
Got it.
okay.
And who seconded it, Colin, or Noel?
Noel.
Colin.
Discussion. Colin,
Aye.
good,
Aye.
right,
Aye.
well, yes. Okay, and then you definitely have our blessing on the bridal thing.
Okay,
We
wonderful.
can get stuff in here, then all the better, absolutely all the
Well,
better.
it's, you know, it's, we all know who owns the building, but we also know who has a liquor license in there. You know, when we don't sell a bottle of pop if nobody's in there.
That's right,
So it's kind of good for everybody.
it is, you know, it's good to use, I mean, that's there to be used.
Well, it brings some money into the city, brings a good amount.
Okay,
But that's all, are you gonna talk to these people? Or not?
why not? What do you got to say? Nothing? Anyway, okay, thanks, Terry. Oh,
I'm not done. I
haven't eaten yet.
I gotta commend you guys on how much crap you can take without getting angry. You know, and
I'm used to it.
I don't know if Randy showed you my little chart. I went through the paper, and I wrote down what everybody's taxes are in Garrison, Washburn, Underwood, and Wilton.
Okay, let's make this quick, though, okay.
You know, Garrison's higher than we were, over $200 higher. And now we're a little bit higher, but in 2 years of taxes, we're still $120 cheaper than Garrison.
Yeah.
You know, and we're only $28 higher than Underwood and $18 higher than Wilton.
Yeah.
If you add 2 years of taxes together. So, you guys really are not out of line.
And we're still probably half of what Bismarck is.
Right.
Really.
Well, you know, I don't know what Bismarck is.
Well, I've heard, and yeah, trust me, we're.
Well, I'm sure
nowhere
they're
near
not
Bismarck.
cheaper. You know, I was gonna say something, but I didn't wanna make 100 enemies. There was.
I don't know if we could have protected you.
Terry, I'll take care of this tomorrow, okay? The form,
Okay.
to submit it.
And then we're going on the,
The 18th,
The
probably
18th.
leave about noon. Is there anybody else that wants to go on the 18th? To hear,
Depends
to
upon.
Rhonda? You're really good at marketing.
Yeah.
Should we talk later?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Girls'
Mike?
night out.
Anything else?
I think that's everything that
Thank you,
I
Terry.
have for right now.
Thank you, Terry.
No?
This was what I had, the Twice Blessed program.
Okay. I don't think I have anything. Thank you. Rainey?
Okay, so I have a few things. So you guys had talked about, that there's somebody that's possibly interested in renting out the old scout room. The archery club is interested. So think about, we don't have a rental on our rental agreement for the Memorial Hall for that room just because we have been waiting for them to clean out that room.
Is it clean yet?
It is clean,
Except for a picture window or something.
there's some kind of glass, there's There's a few items over there, and I talked to Adam, he's gonna go look at it tomorrow morning to see if there's things in there that need to go out and be dumped during cleanup week, or if they need to be moved to a different section of the building. So think about that, so that we can discuss that at our next meeting. Because they are interested, they went and looked at it tonight, and that group is interested in renting that room for their outreach. And that would then free up the gymnasium floor, so that would be a good thing.
This archery club, is that tied to the school, or is that just a club in town?
No, it's a club that, Cala Edwards is, and then, Lully is part of.
And it's kids from all over. There's kids from Turtle Lake that come down to it, so it's a...
Well, because I've been, I think last year, approached by people that looking for an indoor archery range, just for, to be able to shoot during the winter, keep up their skills for bow hunting.
Right, and that would work for that too.
Right.
We could work that together somehow.
Right.
Because that should be long enough. That was a rifle range at one time, or a pistol range at one time.
Well, something.
Something like that. It'll take
I
care of it.
think it was archery. I think it was archery. I don't think it was pistol. I think it was archery.
Okay.
So think about that, so that we can get that added to that rental agreement, and then if you do want to increase the rates like Terry's saying for weddings, we should do that both at the same time, so think about that. They are interested in renting that room.
So well, if we're gonna do that, we should probably do it by next meeting, because definitely, because if he's gonna do a brochure, he wants to get it out there, so, yeah.
So if you want to add it to that special meeting agenda, we could do that,
Okay, well, yeah, okay.
or do you want it at your next regular meeting? Because we can add it to the special, just...
We can, you guys want to put it on special meeting?
Flip a coin.
Doesn't matter to me either way.
And pour out enough coin.
Let's get over and done with.
Okay, special meeting. Yeah, and then I just, like I said before, Ryan had gotten back to me. He is seeing exactly what we have seen. In this email, he just says I'll just read the whole email to you. I thought about it after talking with you and jumped a bit ahead of myself to give you some immediate understanding of these assessments compared to where you are sitting. My first caveat is that depending on the amount of specials that were paid up in full and front, it's not surprising that you're running deficit in the fund. However, based on the amortization schedules and the notes provided, I'm a little concerned that we are under collecting. While I'm generally using an average of annual payments and not the direct 2019 payment, when that's compared to the city's 2019 levy, I need to ask and verify that the 2019 levy is what's collected in 2020. We are approximately $240,000 short from calculated debt service. In addition, there were delinquencies of approximately 5% from the 2018 report. While 5% doesn't sound like much, when you're looking at a levy of approximately $820,000, it adds up, and it was about $44,000 in total delinquencies, non-payments. From a recommendation on, but I don't think it says, a recommendation on how the council should proceed. First, don't be alarmed. We have not yet looked at what's paid in full and may be in the fund, and that may be able to cover these deficiencies. Also, depending on the initial budget look like, it's likely that they need to maintain the levy where it's at, and we'll see some transfers to special assessments to cover it. He asked, do you have anything in the levy for the assessment deficiencies? Our answer will be no. I've noticed that a few other items that stand out and that I want to dig into a bit deeper. Once I've got a good grasp on those, I'll reach back out to you to clarify and see if you have any other information around the office that might help. So he's saying exactly what we have seen when we put together our budget. So doesn't have any answers for us at this time, but he's just saying don't be alarmed, which we already kind of knew. So.
Okay.
Then my next thing is, not received a letter of intent from anybody on the special assessment committee position or the planning and zoning commission. Nothing. We put out on Facebook, so I'm going to put it in ad in the paper I don't know what we need to do because we're just not getting any interest.
Well, there should be no bitching at the next.
We should have appointed everybody that was sitting here. That would have helped our problem. Next time we can ask.
So that just, you know, that. That's all I got.
Where did you all advertise for the position?
We did it exactly like we did it last time, so with all of the, newspapers. All BHG.
Okay, all them, not in the state, well, just, okay.
BHG first.
Okay.
How much jobs is that supposed to be?
You can do that.
I think that was free, right?
Any interest?
Nothing.
Bizman, you do that one? Online?
What about the prior applications? We gotta go back and call them, see if any of them are interested in it?
It might be too long. It may be something to check into, but it might be too long of a time span. I think you can only keep those for so long.
We only keep the resumes for so long?
Like they're only active for so long. And maybe that's like a rule that we have to make, but it might be something.
It's been over a year.
You could reach out to them and say, the position is open if you want to reapply.
That's something, yeah. But I don't think we can offer it to them.
No.
No, I wasn't saying offering
Okay.
it, no, just to call and see if they were still interested in maybe applying for it again, or, you know, not offering it, no.
Okay.
Nothing else? Rhonda? Bill? What's Brian?
I've not heard from today.
Okay.
Neither had Adam.
Okay. Okay, I'll call him tomorrow. Okay, Bill, did we review the bill? The motion to
Motion.
the bill? Okay, get motions.
I'll second that.
Discussion on the bills? Colin? What?
Yes.
What was that?
Huh?
What? Kip?
Aye.
Mike?
Hi.
Well, yeah. Okay, next regular meeting, October 14th, and the special meeting on the 26th. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. I need the checks. What?
Some of those we want to have a couple of
No.
questions.
That was pretty funny, though.
What about snacks, hard?
That's why I wasn't close.
I know.
And I didn't scare her on purpose.
You're right.
How many
You're
flick-
supposed to make noise when you do that.
I know, I was like, dang it.
They
Thought
are
that one
bad.
come back to life or what? I was looking on the floor too and I didn't see them.
I'll sign these while you guys put the chairs
Yeah,
away.
we
Two of them going to the fire department, the rest of them
Only
will
one from play.
I think so because they're over my limit.
Meeting is
So I get
adjourned. You're too late.
clarification.
I don't care, do it anyway. I have to go look at the street yet, so.
You don't have to look, just drive by, and when you get stuck, let us know.
Yeah.
What did you say now, two went in the,
Okay.
What?
two went in the fire hall? You said?
Yeah, right next to the washing machine.
Okay.
And then, 'cause there's one there now that's already broken, but the rest go in the back room then.
Because I had questions on the time card. I never heard from him, so I just went forward with the time card, and then, I asked, Adam Keith or something, he said no, he
I called him too, and he didn't.
didn't answer.
Normally